Hi there, this is Ray with Easy Simple Mechanic. Today we're going to continue working on this Crown Vic, checking the compression on the engine, make sure its engine is all good. While we're in there, we'll take a look at them spark plugs. We also may get to change the, there was a bad U-joint, the front U-joint on the drive shaft. We'll see how far we get, but for now, let's get started. Okay, to get started on getting those spark plugs out, as you can see, this car doesn't have the covers and stuff there on the top. But once you get those covers off, you'll basically get to see this entire engine bay. Really what we got to do is the coils are in here. Like these are the coils. There's some on both sides, 8 obviously, this is a V8. So what we've got to do is we've got to pull all of this stuff off to get to those coils so that we can then pull those out and get those spark plugs out. Then we'll take a look at the spark plugs. We'll do a compression test and we'll take a look at the injectors as we pull them out. So let me get started on pulling this stuff off. Okay, so we're just gonna pull this hose off here, which is the intake. We'll start with that. I'll just pull that off, pull that off, pull that off. Okay, and as you can see, here's the coils that we need to get to. Ready? Okay. The clip is down here on the bottom. And so we just pull that little clip up and it pulls that apart. We get that one. So we'll just pull this one and this one. Okay. Before you pull the coils off of the spark plugs, to pull these spark plugs out, you need to go ahead and blow this, use an air hose and blow all the crud out from around the spark plugs so that when you pull the plugs out, that stuff doesn't go down in the cylinder. Now the coils are just held in by 7mm screws that hold the coils down. Once you remove those, these will just fold and come out. Now I try and keep these in order to know where they came out of in case I have a misfire. Then I know, what coils were good and which ones weren't. But it's just a matter of tilting those over, pulling them out. And they should all come out without taking the fuel rail off. If you were going to change the fuel injectors, you'd have to pull this metal plate. I went ahead and pulled the throttle body off because I need to clean it out anyway, and it was just in the way. So I pulled that off, and I unplugged the fuel injectors as well because I just want them out of the way. So here we go. And so we've got all the plugs there. Now we just need to pull the ones on the other side. Oh, well, we can pull the spark plugs out. But before we do, I'm gonna pull the coils off of the other side and clean out this throttle body because we're gonna have to crank, well, we're not gonna have to start it, but we can crank the car up to check the compression. Okay, so to get the spark plugs out, all we did was we used a 17mm deep socket because it's not a standard spark plug wrench, wouldn't fit in there. So I went ahead and just used the 17. The only thing is when you do that, it doesn't grab the spark plug. So you have to use a magnet like this stick down in the hole and pull the plugs out. Now when we go back to put them in there, in order to hold the plug in the socket, I'll show you guys a trick to do that so that we can get them back in there. So we went ahead and pulled the plugs on all 4 sides, and we want to take a look at them and see what they look like. See how they're burning. They don't look too bad. They look a little bit worn, but not too bad. Something I want to comment about is take a look at this. When we look at these plugs, you guys tell me right in the comments down there what you think. Which one, if any of them, has got a problem. If you look at it, we see that this one here is messed up. It's not burning the fuel correctly. See, all of these are burning okay. This one is not. So is it an ignition issue or is it a compression issue? That's what we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and run a compression test on this. Make sure that the compression is good on all the cylinders. If the compression is good, then I believe this has got an electrical issue, which may be a coil. One way to figure out, you know, whether it's the coil or not, is that what we'll do is we got the coils in order here on how they came out. So what we'll do is we'll swap one of a known good coil and we'll put it in that cylinder. And if that takes care of the issue, we know it's the coil. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is just to replace the coils. So one thing I'm gonna show you right off the bat that I can see is if you look at these coils, the boots are all nice and straight, like on that one and on this one, okay? Now when we look at the boot on the one that had the issue, it's all swole up, see? Like if it had some oil coming through the cylinder or out the spark plug. It may be that that spark plug was not tight or was stripped out or something. But that boot on that looks swollen from maybe some oil getting by the threads on that spark plug. So, but first, let's do a compression test so that we can determine if that's an issue or not. Okay, with the plugs pulled out, we put this compression gauge on here, and we need to see how high this thing goes on each of the cylinders. As you could see, we had some really good pressure there. It looked like about 140. So that was good pressure. Now my battery's a little low, so it's not turning or cranking as good as it should. But anyway, what we need to do is capture that for all of the 8 cylinders, and then we can compare, and the pressure should not be more than like 20%, the highest from the lowest. So let's see what they all read, and then we'll see if this engine's good. Okay, so we took all 8 cylinders, and what we have here is, as we can see here, we've got anywhere from, well, we're looking at the cylinders from front to back, so let's turn this around. It's probably better like this. No? Well, we got them upside down. Anyway, so let's look at these numbers from here. And we see we have the number 1 had 125, 2, 125, 3, 145. Number 4, 130. And then we had number 5, 125, 6, 135. Or 130, I'm sorry. And then 7 is 140, and 8 is 140. So let's do the math and see what we get. So from the math, that's about 14% difference from the highest to the lowest. So the compression is good on these. The issue that I have found in trying to put my compression gauge on there is that it's only grabbing like 2 or 3 threads on the spark plug hole. So my thought is on that one cylinder, if it didn't grab enough, that plug was loose, it was letting compression by there, and therefore causing that plug to foul, and so it wasn't working very good on that cylinder. But the compression is good, so I decided to go ahead and work on the drive shaft and get those U-joints put on it. So let's see if we can't get the U-joint changed out in the front of the drive shaft before it gets late. Let's get started on that. Okay, so we got this drive line off to replace that rear main, or that rear seal on the transmission. On the back, all there is 4 12mm 12-point sockets. They are kind of tight, so I had to use a little bit of a cheater ratchet. And then over here, we went ahead and just pried the seal off. So we're good to go there. Now we're gonna see if we can install the new one. And you know, I need both hands for this, so we'll show you when it's done. So on this seal, all you have to do is you could put in one side of the seal and just get it started, and then with a little hammer just tap it in slowly around the sides, because you can't really get, unless you got a big enough socket to go over the top of this rubber, can't really get on the seal all at the same time. So I just got it started on the opposite side so that it would stay, and then slowly went around and hammered it in until it's nice and solidly in there. You can hear it when it's hitting solid. And that's it. There's nothing to that seal. Now let's get to this U-joint. I don't know how well you can see that, but as you can see, that thing is, there we go. That thing is really busted up in there. That thing is, you know, it's just moving back and forth pretty bad. And that's what probably caused that seal to go. So I'm gonna take some emery paper and I'm gonna get this smoothed out the best I can before I change that U-joint. We'll move to that. Okay, if you can see, as you can see, we got that all smooth. So when we put that back in there, hopefully it'll seal up real good and it won't damage the new seal. Okay, so now we just got to pull these clips. We're going to pull these clips out of here, and we'll start by taking the first this guy off right here. We'll use the drive shaft as support so we can get this guy hammered out. Once we get this guy out, then we'll go ahead and work on getting the U-joint out of there and get the new one in. Okay, so this is how I get them out. I just take a socket that's bigger than the circumference of the U-joint. I put it on the over the shafts so that it can go through there, and I give it a good whack, and that's it. Okay, so we just take this and give it a good whack. As you can see, it pushes out the deal there. I had already done the other side, so that's those, and this comes out. Now one thing I like to do is I like to make sure and mark these in case they were balanced at factory is I like to mark them so that I install it in the same place. So I'll just put a scratch on it right here. A little scratch right there. And then I'll put a little scratch right here. That way, when I go to put the new one in, I put it in exactly like I took it off. I don't know if they get balanced, you know, at factory or not, but it kind of helps if it was to keep it that way. Then we'll just clean this up. Now we'll do the same thing with that one. We'll pull the clips off of the drive shaft, and the way I do those is pretty easy too. I just take some needle nose pliers like this. I take a little screwdriver, and as I squeeze, let's see if I can get you guys in the action. I'll squeeze it and I'll stick the screwdriver in behind it so I can pry it out. So there you are. We get that one off. And we do the same thing on this one. The only thing is on this one, instead of knocking the yoke off over there, we can't just hit this. We have to put something underneath it so that it pushes from the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll get something to put in underneath it, like a little socket, and we'll just drive it that way. So what we do is we'll just get a little socket that fits right inside there like that, right? And we'll just stick it in there like that. And then we'll put our sleeve on this side, and we'll give it our little hammering job. That one. Okay. Right. Now we take that off. You can see that was pretty bad. They're dried completely out. And now we can just take that off. And there you go. There's your U-joint. All right, so that's as easy as it is to change this. Now on this one, you want to be sure you put the Zerk fitting towards the drive shaft. You want to put it that way so that you'll be able to get to it with a grease gun. You know, if you put it towards this shaft, you won't be able to get to it. So always put the Zerk where you can get to it from the drive shaft side. Before putting the new U-joints in there, you want to clean this out to make sure you got a smooth surface so everything goes in there the way it's supposed to. Keep in mind this drive shaft is aluminum, so it can be marred up pretty easy. So you got to be careful when you go in with this. So this is just getting the clips in, is just squeezing the clips. You want to make sure they go all the way in where it can't come back out. And there you are. Now we turn it over. We give this a good smack so we can get our next clip in there on this side. want to make sure that clip is in there, because if it's not in there, it'll be all the way in there. Okay, clips all the way in. Now you'll notice this thing is pretty bound up because we got pressure on it from this side, right? So what we want to do is we want to loosen that pressure a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit of a smack here just to loosen the little more. You want to be able to turn this in there like that. Yeah. And there you are. Now we just do the same thing for the other one. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. We got the drive shaft of the U-joint changed out on the drive shaft. We got a compression test on that engine, so it looks like that engine's good. So, you know, we'll just keep going on this and see how far we get. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys on the next one.